Imagine standing at the top of the aisle in your wedding dress, heart pounding, hands trembling, on what should be the most important day of your life. And then your own father, the man who was supposed to walk you down that aisle, looks at you like you're the wrong person. He mumbles something, turns away, and leaves. Leaves you there, alone, in front of everyone you've ever known. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, is that my husband and I had been setting this trap for months. And every single penny they spent on my wedding, that was by design. If you've ever been the forgotten child, the overlooked one, the sibling who was never quite good enough, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and buckle up, because this is one of the most jaw-dropping, deeply satisfying revenge stories I've ever come across. Let's get into it. From as far back as she can remember, our narrator, let's call her Mia, knew something was fundamentally wrong in her home. Not in the quiet, subtle way some families are a little unfair. We're talking about the kind of favoritism that was impossible to ignore. Birthday cakes had to be whatever flavor her older sister wanted. The sister's bad grades were celebrated. Mia's perfect grades? Ignored, dismissed. You always get good grades. What's there to celebrate? Friends weren't welcome at the house because the sister would accuse them of stealing. Mia's curfews were brutal. Her sisters were practically non-existent, and whenever Mia dared to point out the double standard, her parents had a ready-made excuse, or worse, they'd punish her for acting spoiled. The cruelest part? The sister had no explanation for why she was chosen. She wasn't kinder, she wasn't smarter, she was simply the favorite. And favorites, as we'll see, can become monsters. Things escalated when Mia and her sister hit their teens. The sister had lost all her friends, and rather than look inward, she decided Mia was the problem. Suddenly, Mia's friends were accused of wrongdoing. Her parents believed it. Mia was banned from going out. And then came the boyfriends. The first time, Mia's boyfriend came to find her with a confused, slightly disgusted look on his face. Her sister had cornered him, batting her eyelashes, talking him up, trying desperately to flirt. He wasn't interested. He ran. But the sister, true to form, flipped the story completely, told their parents he had hit on her, and the parents believed it. They always believed it. It happened again with the next boyfriend, and the next. Mia stopped having relationships in high school entirely. What was the point? They'd be dismantled by a lie before they even got started. And through all of it, all the gaslighting, the punishment, the quiet cruelty, Mia did one thing. She studied, she prepared, she planned. Because she already knew the only way out was a scholarship. When Mia's mom finally sat her down before graduation, her tone was almost gentle. Almost. She explained that since they were paying for the sister's college, there was simply no money for Mia. If she wanted to stay home, she'd pay rent. If she wanted student loans, well, her parents would decide if any college was worth the debt. Mia didn't flinch, didn't cry, just said, "I understand. Thank you for your concern." Her mother looked almost disappointed. She'd been hoping for a tantrum she could use as ammunition. What she didn't know was that Mia had already been accepted to a good college on a full scholarship. She'd prepared for this exact moment her entire life, quietly, invisibly, while her sister got all the attention. She announced it on social media at the exact moment she told her family, posted a thank you to her parents for their support. Now, they couldn't say no without looking terrible in front of everyone who knew them. It wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was survival. Revenge was still coming. In college, Mia met the man she'd marry, and he was everything she was not. Where Mia was quiet, conflict avoidant, the type who cried when she got angry and lay awake wishing she'd said something clever, her future husband was a different creature entirely. He was the kind of person who, when wronged, didn't forget, didn't forgive, just waited, quietly, patiently, with a smile. He loved drama the way a chess grandmaster loves a complicated board. He saw problems as opportunities, and when Mia finally told him the full story of her family, every humiliation, every betrayal, he didn't look horrified. He looked delighted. "Tell me everything," he said. "We're going to have so much fun with this." When they got engaged, her parents insisted on meeting him. He went alone, secretly carrying a hidden recorder in his pocket, like a man preparing for war. He came back buzzing with excitement. "Babe, babe, you are not going to believe this." He sat her down and explained what had happened. Her parents, along with her sister, had made him an offer. They would help pay for the wedding. Generous, right? Except there was one condition. Her sister would walk down the aisle, first, in a wedding dress, at Mia's wedding. The excuse was that it wasn't proper for a younger sister to marry first, so the sister deserved, their word, the experience. The dress, the photos, the walk, the cake. At Mia's wedding. For a moment, even he was speechless, and then, deep in his brain, a little devil whispered, "String them along. Here's what they decided. Say yes. Pretend to go along with it, and then bleed every penny of value out of this arrangement before pulling the rug." He went back and told them Mia would never agree if she knew, but if they handled things carefully, kept it all verbal, nothing in writing, he could manage her. After all, he confided, Mia was a little controlling, paranoid even, checked his phone, didn't trust him. They needed to be subtle. The parents and sister ate it up. And so began months of beautiful, elaborate, deeply satisfying deception. Every wedding vendor visit became a game. At the caterer, they'd start with the affordable menu. Then he'd secretly take the sister aside, sigh wistfully about the premium options, and watch her throw a tantrum demanding the best. Parents would cave and upgrade. Every single time. The photographer, upgraded. The flowers, upgraded. The drinks, upgraded. Everything became the most expensive version of itself, bankrolled by people who thought they were doing it for the sisters' big debut. Meanwhile, Mia and her husband, who had originally planned a courthouse wedding to save money for their honeymoon in Europe, were watching their dream wedding materialize without spending a dime. They called it back pay for emotional damages. The morning of the wedding, everything was in place. The venue was beautiful. The guests were seated. The security team, paid by Mia and her husband, with a generous tip to stay quiet, was stationed at the entrance. The plan her parents had cooked up was simple. Since brides are always fashionably late, the sister would arrive at exactly that moment, slip in, and walk the aisle before Mia even knew what happened. By the time Mia reacted, it would be over. What they didn't know was that Mia had already gotten ready. She was already there. Right on cue, her dad stood at the entrance to signal the start of the procession. The music swelled. The doors opened. And Mia walked in. Her father's face went slack. He looked behind her, confused, searching, and then his phone rang, her sister's name on the screen. He stared at his daughter in her wedding dress. And he walked away, mumbled something about something coming up, and left her standing there. Mia later told friends that she had planned to look triumphant in that moment, steely, composed. Instead, she cried, real tears, because somewhere in her heart, she had still hoped her father might surprise her. That all of this was some terrible misunderstanding. It wasn't. But before the emotion could swallow her, her father-in-law, who had been briefed for exactly this moment, sprinted across the room and offered her his arm with a warm, steady smile. She took it, She walked down the aisle to a sea of whispers and wide eyes. When she reached her husband, he leaned in close and whispered, "Your sad face is so real, you deserve an Oscar. Also, they're losing their minds outside." She laughed. They got married. Her sister had arrived in a full wedding dress. The security guard turned her away with a confused shrug, explaining there was already a bride and she must have the wrong venue. Her father tried threats, her mother tried tears. A crowd gathered as wedding guests streamed outside to see what the commotion was. And then, glorious, perfect, poetic, her parents did the one thing that sealed their fate. They threw the husband under the bus, told everyone he had agreed to the whole plan. He walked out to face them. He looked confused. He looked offended. He asked, very calmly, very publicly, why on earth would he ever agree to something so deeply wrong? He asked for proof. They had none. Every conversation had been verbal. Every text on record was about normal wedding decisions. The crowd turned. The sister, a grown adult, sat down on the ground and started kicking her legs and screaming. Their parents cycled between purple and white. Their mother wept. Their father looked like he wanted to swing at someone but couldn't. They were eventually asked to leave. Mia didn't watch. She was inside, dancing with her husband, eating the expensive food her parents paid for, drinking the upgraded bar her parents funded, celebrating with the people who had actually shown up for her. They say the best revenge is living well, but I'd add one small amendment to that. The best revenge is living well, expensively, at the expense of the people who tried to take everything from you, and making sure they know exactly what happened. For Mia, this wasn't just about a wedding. It was about 2 decades of being dismissed, accused, ignored, and underestimated. And finally, just once, getting to watch the people who did that to her face consequences in public. Some families don't deserve forgiveness. Some bridges are healthier burned. And some wedding venues deserve a very generous security tip. If this story hit different, smash that like button. You know it deserves it. And tell me in the comments, have you ever pulled off a revenge plan this perfectly calculated? Or do you know someone who did? Subscribe for more stories like this one. Real people, real justice, genuinely unhinged family drama. And if you're watching this with someone who has a complicated family relationship, maybe just give them a quiet nod. They know.